it's Natalie for a cherry on top today, and it is Technique Tuesday. This month we are focused on ombre projects. So I decided to do an ombre background for a Harry Potter themed page that I am doing for my nephew. So you can see I have the photos here. I'm going to use that film strip from 49 Market. I'm going to use some powdered watercolors and texture paste and distress oxides in an ombre of yellow, or not like bright yellow, maybe a mustard. I made this little die cut on my Cricut, and it says platform 9 3/4 months, because my sister-in-law had the fun idea for us to do a photo shoot for my nephew, and when he was 9 3/4 months, and he picked which house he was in, and that was super fun for my boys. And so this is just one of the 60 photos that I took. So I showed you the design of what I wanted to do, where the photos and the film strip are going to sit, so that I can now create my background. So I have white textured cardstock from American Crafts, and I have a few distress oxides, and I'm doing multi-generational stamping in order to get a sufficiently ombre look, right? So I'm starting with antique linen. I have these are the ticket booth stamps by Stampers Anonymous, Tim Holtz. And then I also have scattered straw, which is the lighter yellow color. And what I'm doing is, you see me ink up that color first on the stamp. I stamp it down, then I add a little bit more of that color only in one section, and then I add the antique linen. So in fact, I get the scattered straw first generation stamping and second generation. And so the second generation is a little bit lighter than the first generation stamp. And so that's how I get two different tones with one color. And it takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of forethought when you're kind of doing multiple colors on a single stamp. These red rubber stamps are super fabulous about doing an ombre look like this. And so I'm kind of just collage stamping them onto this background, not being super worried about how straight they are, anything. And then I also go in, after the scattered straw, I have fossilized amber, and then I also finish up with wild honey. It is pretty subtle in the difference from fossilized amber, but it works. And again, you can also do the first and second generation stamping to get different tones and different depths of the same color. And now I'm just, no gesso on this page. I'm just adding a little bit of water to do some watercoloring, blur out a little bit of the images, add a little bit of ink and some splatter in the same ombre colors. Again, to the scattered straw, or any of the colors really, you just add additional water and it'll lighten it up. And so you can get that lovely ombre look. So I'm just going from the top of the page to the bottom, and the yellow gets progressively lighter, or darker, I'm sorry. And Wally chose Hufflepuff, so I'm making sure to fully dry it, and I'm gonna go in and do texture paste with powdered watercolor on top. But you see me thinking, and I'm like, no, I need to bring the stamped images, the tickets, out onto the other side of the page so that they'll be sticking out from under the film strip. So I don't make you watch me do it all over again, but I do the same process over here on the right, just to have a few of the tickets sticking out. And then I'm going to do my texture paste on top of it. But yes, Wally chose the Hufflepuff house, so we'll see if he sticks with that always and forever. But this is one of my favorite techniques, and so I have these Brushos powdered watercolors. There's a few different ones in the store, but I love to use this matte texture paste from Ranger, and I put it through the stencil. I'm not covering the stencil completely. I'm just doing random little stars here and there. The green on it, don't worry, it's on it. It's not coming off. It's like a stain. So, and then I'm sprinkling the powdered watercolor on top of the wet texture paste without removing the stencil. And so this will give a really granulated look at first. And then if you add water, it will kind of just like let it disperse. But I'm trying to do like a very small amount of sprinkle up at the top and kind of get it darker as we go down. It is a little bit hard to control. I should have used maybe a better scooper rather than that just flat little blade that I'm using, but it works out. I like the way it ends up looking. And then I can also just add more water to it with my paintbrush, and that will dilute it or keep it as dark as I want. So now I didn't clean my stencil. It still has the powdered watercolor on it. And so now I'm using the texture paste and just allowing that watercolor to mix with it. And so this one will be a fully yellow. The entire star will be fully yellow instead of a little pixelated. So I do it on the other side as well. And then I'll clean my stencil again and do like a white stamp at the top. Or clean my stencil brush at least, or palette knife. Clearly I didn't clean my stencil, but I'm just using some of the stars that I had not used and then doing the same sprinkle treatment up at the top. Just a little bit. I don't know that it necessarily worked with the ombre look that I was going for, but I think it added a fun texture to the background on top of the stamping, and I'm happy with it. And I do dab that up, don't worry. That's because that one's a little dark there. Powdered watercolors are super fun. So we're going to set that across to dry because we do want it to fully dry, and then the texture paste, of course, takes a little bit to dry. I am using my tearaway tape to stick all the way around this 49th and Market film strip because it's super skinny. And I want to stick down the little photos that I made. I made a photo collage. I did 2 3x4 photos side by side, and then I did a 4 collage inside the 3x4 photo, and they were pretty much almost the perfect size to fit inside. I'm not really great when it comes to like measuring photos and like fitting things and printing them properly on my computer. So that was the best way that I could get the size photos that I needed for this. And so it worked really well. Now I'm going to I cut them apart, and I'm going to stick them down. So I removed all the backing of the tape, and then I'm just going to stick them down into each section of the film strip. And I just have a few photos, like the letterboard. I did this whole like little setup around our fireplace where we did the little photo shoot, and his like letterboard, it said "You're a Wizard, Wally," and has our pennants that we got when we went to Universal Studios, and then he crawled to whatever house he chose. And then there is the piece I created in my design studio for Cricut. On my Cricut, I cut it out, and I just kind of like pulled something out from the internet as far as like what it looked like, and I just created it with a couple shapes. It wasn't hard at all. Just like a bow at the top and the bottom, and I welded them together, and then a circle in the middle, and just did 2 different cuts. So now what am I doing? Oh, I'm gonna kind of figure out where I want things to go and then worry about embellishment. So I do have a lot of papers. I got these Wizarding 102 papers from Reminisce it's like their Harry Potter collection. I have the Echo Park Witches and Wizards collection. I have the new Academia collection from 49th and Market, which I think is a really good vibe, and a very, there's owls in there, which I get it, like owls are like wise and they're for school, but like also you could totally go for a Harry Potter page. And I was using it the other day and I was like, yep, we're going to combine this with some Harry Potter. So I love that. So I'm going through the laser die cuts there. I've pulled out a bunch more Harry Potter stuff here and just looking at my stickers, kind of looking for Hufflepuff specific items here, which is the honey badger. Not a lot of stuff with the honey badger on it, and scrapbooking supplies. So I decided to go with this really like nice muted color from Echo Park, which is in Wizards collection. I like just the simple plaid with the Hufflepuff colors. So I'm just ripping a little strip, and I'm going to put this in 3 places around the layout, around the edges, and I'm going to use my sewing machine to sew them down. And this is a good way to use pattern paper on a page, but you still want to do like a mixed media background. So you just do little pops of the pattern around the edges of the page. And this works out because, what was I going to say? Because, I already did the mixed media, and I don't know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Oh, 3. The rule of 3. A rule of 3 or a rule of 5, an odd number is really pleasing to the eye. The 3 little bits of paper kind of created a nice visual triangle on my page. I decide to back the photo with some black cardstock just to help it pop off the page since it's there on that white background. And so that's what you see me doing there. And I cut the honey badger out from one of the cut apart sheets from Reminisce. And now I'm going to go do some sewing on, I think about backing that with black as well. But in fact, I decided to do some sewing treatment on that as well. So I did that off screen. I sewed around the pattern paper, stuck them down to the background. I sewed down the sides of each film strip. So that just added that little strip of black instead of adding the background paper. And then I sewed all the way around the honey badger piece, and I did some zigzag stitching just to add a little bit of interest. And now I'm distressing everything, kind of give it that same distress vibe that I always usually go for, and kind of giving cohesion to the bits on the page. I did that little academia piece, which is like a little tab on the side of the photo there. So it's time to start committing, sticking things down. So I'm going to do a combination of just regular tape and sticking things directly onto the background, as well as some foam tape. And there I'm just kind of setting it down wonky. I'm not doing anything too straight. I'm going to stick up that die cut, which is essentially my title, with the foam tape. So that's what you'll see me doing here, just a few pieces of that. And that sticks down really nicely. Once it's down, it's pretty well down there, and you're not gonna worry about it falling off. I just sewed a line through that. It says cheers. I feel like that's a very British thing to say. So I pulled that out of the Academia collection. I love this one. I definitely would recommend that one, and it's still in the store for sure. Let's see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to be very gentle when I'm like giving the distress treatment to all of the items, but at the end of the video, I'll actually show you like a better way to do it with a different tool. So I think about sticking that up there, sticking the little Hufflepuff word through it, but it wasn't really working, so I decided to move it down to the bottom onto the honey badger piece. And then we kind of get into the collection of items that I choose to put around the photo end up being almost like a collage, as if he were like, okay, this is my house now, I'm gonna like put all the honey badger things all over it. Like when my kid gets a new water bottle and then he puts all of his favorite stickers all over it immediately. So I stuck up that owl that came from Academia. I stuck it up on some foam tape, and I'm just going through these photos. A lot of the pieces are from Harry Potter pieces are from Paper House Productions. They have a lot of really great Harry Potter licensed items. That star is from Academia. The colors matched really perfectly. This is a planner sticker book from Paper House Productions, and it has a really cool honey badger. So I'm gonna stick that there, and you'll see me like kind of, that's when I decide I'm gonna do it wonky, make it look like a collage, and then I'll go back later and I'll rough up the edges with my little Cricut tool, but just any like straight edge tool. And so it gave that sticker some nice dimension and kind of made it stick, have cohesion and like look the same as every other distressed piece on the page. So I really like when everything kind of goes together well. So that was my thought process behind that. So I'm just sticking a few of the Harry Potter stickers around the page, like the crest for that house, and a few stars, and I do pull one off, and I decided to stick it back because I'm like, you know what, I have a lot more photos to do. I'm going to do some pocket pages with some of the other photos, probably even another 12 by 12 with the ones with Wally and my kids. So I was like, let's save a little bit for later, you know, because I'm going to want a honey badger elsewhere probably as well. So I just stick a little star, tuck it under there, under that popped up piece that says Hufflepuff, and we're about to call it a layout. So I hope you've enjoyed this. You can go see this in the gallery at A Cherry on Top and see all of the products that I used and all of the background pieces that are still in the store, as well as the Harry Potter items and the 49th Market items. I love the way that they mix and match and they all go so well together. I hope that you've been inspired. Check out the other Techniques Tuesday videos from this month. Every project is different. We all did different things. There was stenciling, there was card making, there was ink blending, and now you have stamping. So many different ways to use ombre techniques, and it's a really fun Technique Tuesday video that we do every week. So thank you guys so much for watching. You can check out more videos if you like this one on my channel. My name is Natalie Dill. Bye y'all.